There's just so much information flying around right now. I just don't know who to believe. I don't know who to trust. I don't know if people are using propaganda against me. We don't have to guess. We know how propaganda works. I'm sharing the following information for educational purposes so you can protect yourself and so you can know what not to do to other people. To understand propaganda, we need to go to the architect of modern propaganda. His name was that. I'm not going to speak it out loud because this is a despicable human being. He was the minister of propaganda for the Schmatzi Party. The reason we look at him and his ideas and how he did what he did is because this was the most successful example in modern history we have of propaganda and how freaking dangerous it is. Scholars will tell you that this guy had 11 basic principles of propaganda and how he got away with doing what he did and how he manipulated people so profoundly to lead to so much violence. I honestly didn't want to make this video, but there's some people out there who need to hear this right now. Principle of propaganda number 1, simplification, reducing complex issues to a single conflict between good versus evil, us versus them, creating a single enemy. Principle number 2, repetition. Constantly repeat slogans, messages, or ideas to create familiarity and embed them in public consciousness. Principle number 3, create a big lie. Tell a lie so colossal that people will believe it simply because they assume that no one in their right mind would have the audacity to say something so outrageous if it wasn't true. Principle of emotional appeal. Target emotions such as fear, anger, or pride over and above rational thought to provoke a response. Principle of displacement. Shift frustrations and social problems onto a scapegoat, making that group the cause of all the problems. Principle of unanimity. The bandwagon effect suggests that everyone is on board with this message and encourage conformity, marginalize anyone who dissents or protests. Principle of orchestration. Present propaganda through multiple channels, radio, print, film, posters, creating a coordinated, consistent message so everywhere you look, you see the same thing. Principle of black and white arguments. Frame issues as binary. There's no middle ground or compromise, only extremes. Right or wrong, friend or enemy. Principle of contagion. Present opposing viewpoints or dissenters as dangerous or contagious, discouraging people from interacting with them. Principle of timing. Release propaganda messages strategically when the audience is most susceptible to persuasion or when events provide a timely pretext. Finally, principle of truth twisting. Incorporate partial truths to make falsehoods more convincing, presenting facts in ways that fit the desired narrative while ignoring inconvenient details. Now, here's the thing. In order for propaganda to be truly successful, you have to whittle down people's trust of journalists, because journalists and the media are the ultimate whistleblowers and accountability mechanisms that we have. Before anything gets to Congress or lawmakers or even the criminal justice system, oftentimes journalists will be the first line of defense calling foul on something that somebody's doing. That's why freedom of the press is so important. You can't have a free society without a free press. And if you can whittle down people's trust in the media, if you can whittle down people's trust in journalists in particular, you can get them to listen to just you. Then you become the sole source of information. And where's the accountability? Oh, you don't need any because you are the grand master of all knowledge and truth. When you see people attacking the press, you see people attacking journalists, that should be your first clue that they are up to some of this. That does not mean we can't criticize journalists for being biased or unfair. You can absolutely and should absolutely do that and hold journalists accountable. But beware anyone who says, I am the only source of information and all of those other people are lying to you. All of them. I'm the only one who you can ultimately trust. Because people pushing propaganda do not want you to look under the hood. They do not want you to ask them hard questions. They will evade and dodge. They will demonize and scapegoat. They will point to everyone else as being the source of the problem and never themselves. They will rarely apologize unless it gets them something they want. They do not want you to look at data and statistics because that would erode your trust in them, which means it would erode their control over you. And the last thing I'll offer is this. Anyone pushing propaganda, you know what they want? They want you to be confused. They want you to believe that the truth is unattainable. They want you to be so inundated with so much information that you will become overwhelmed and disengaged in your own future, in your own mind. Masters of propaganda want you disengaged from your community. When they start demonizing your neighbors, they want you too checked out to care. You have been warned. This is what propaganda looks like. Now, what are you going to do with that information?